Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you guys doing? Pop Snow coming to you live from Guyana. Okay, for those of you on Facebook and those of you on TikTok. Yes, we got a little bit of a break in the afternoon here between work, so definitely can do this live right now and also address questions and things pertaining to the matter that we are discussing today. All right, so, as you've been reading in the news, okay, there is talk about refugees and deportees coming to Guyana, all right, or, the possibility of these things happening here. Now, normally, I would say I very seldom agree with PNC figures. However, I did see Mr. Norton on TV last night talking about this thing, and there are some points that he made that were very logical. And the number one point that I would like to say is capacity, right? Because, that's a big thing. So I hope our government is looking at our capacity to take on these individuals. It's one thing if we're collecting deportees that are Guyanese based. When they come to Guyana, they have family or they have something to help guide them and stabilize them, right? It's another thing when you're taking refugees who are not criminals, but who are victims of other humanitarian circumstances and how you're going to treat them, right? And it's another thing when you're taking on criminals from another country who their country may not want them at all. And what are we going to do with these people? This is the key, right? So I don't think the argument is going to be on if we could, but I would more along the line say the argument would be on like what's going to actually happen, what is the plan, right? Because, we have a lot of people in Guyana right now that are still saying that, there's a lot of poor people here. There's a lot of circumstances. People are saying that they are not getting opportunities. So if we bring refugees into this mix now and we push them into the sectors, what really is going to happen there? How are they going to be, living when they're in Guyana? Are they going to be productive? What areas are they going to complement in this society? How does this thing work? Right? That's going to be a huge thing. Like, how is this going to work out, right? Because at the end of the day, we still have a lot of capacity and management issues with just what we have going on, right? Why import convict in the streets got non-productive? Yeah, so these are things, right? Now, it's one thing if people have, probably served their time somewhere, they learned their lesson, they're looking to build a life. But even so, if that is the case, like where are they going to fit in our society? That's going to be a huge thing. Where do they fit in our society? What's going to happen? Right now, I've been thinking about this thing for a while. In fact, I was thinking about systems like that even after seeing this prison CCOP in El Salvador. Now, if we were doing something like CCOP, in my opinion, it may be safer to house convicted criminals in a lockdown style facility, right, under governance from international agencies, because I don't think that we just don't have the manpower to stretch our prison services or our police department or our military. We don't have the manpower, and we still have issues in terms of who can we trust, what are they going to do their jobs correctly. We, in our own right here in Guyana, over the last few decades, we've had jailbreaks, we've had prison fires, we've had all of these things there. There have been a lot of issues in those types of services, right? And, like what's going to happen there? There's like big thing. Big, huge red flags if we don't have those things monitored or we don't have the right systems in place. Can it be done in a safe way for Guyana? That it could be, but do we as a people have the right systems in place to take on that type of international liability. And if our partners from the United States and other countries are, willing to support us in that endeavor, what does it look like? So, I would agree with some of the seasoned politicians by saying it's not a bad thing to have the discussions about these things, but there really needs to be a comprehensive system in place to address the real issues that are going to arise from that type of situation, right? So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on it, the public. Very, very important to hear what your thoughts are, because this is something that can, seriously affect the country if it goes wrong, especially if there are refugees that we have accepted into our country without a very stable plan in place as to, their quality of life. Put aside the prisoners and the deportees. Let's talk about the refugees, the people who may not have committed a crime other than like just escaping to the US or Canada or somewhere else, whoever we're partnering with to do that program. Those people were searching for a better life, right? And headed over there, they of course took a risk. Maxima, we are talking about the discussion that's currently happening in our nation in regards to accepting deportees and refugees in Guyana, right? I don't know if you saw it in the news. I know that one of our viewers, by the way, if you guys have a topic or something, you can always send me a message with the topic or the article, and I'll give my opinion, right? I'll give my opinion on it. But that's what we're talking about right now. Want to know how the country feels about it, and what's going on in your head, what's going on in the people's head when they hear of these things, right? Now, I've got a lot of life experience on both sides, right? And I can tell you that if it's accepting they're criminals, I would say no. Right away, I would say no. Don't accept their criminals. Because if you accept their criminals, they're deportees. Remember, it's one thing when you gotta accept somebody who was deported from your country. You ain't got choice about that. You gotta accept them. That's your own. But it's another thing when some people are so bad that their country don't even want to accept them. Right? This is a serious thing. Right? When their country has identified them as so screwed up that they don't want to go there, that's a big red flag. Okay? And I know that our government says, well, we're looking for skilled individuals. But you need to, skilled individuals in terms of the refugees, understandable. Skilled individuals in terms of their deportees, right? That is very questionable. Okay? And this is a serious problem. And even if we are going to bring in their refugees and their skilled individuals, what opportunities would be available for those skilled individuals? Because if you bring them from one country that they went or they somehow got there for a better life, and we bring them here and we don't have a comprehensive structure of growth in place for them when they're working, then those people may still end up just saving up some money and then breaking the law and leaving the country and going and doing their own thing. You can't force people. You can't kidnap people. You can't do those things in that regard, because if they're refugees, what crime did they commit except for trying to find a better life? Mahas, blessings, brother. Blessings. So there's going to be a lot of humanitarian concerns there. There's going to be tons and tons of stuff. We've got some comments coming in here. For those of you who are not watching us on TikTok, we're also live on TikTok, right? Guyana can't handle their own criminals. Why take more? Exactly. That's, like I said, I've been in the prison system here in this country, and I've seen the overcrowding. I've seen the situations. right, firsthand. Not that I wanted to, but you know, life is screwed up. Sometimes shit happens. And I've been through that, right? And I've been able to see the faults both inside the system and outside the system from both points of view. So I can honestly tell you that I have a very clear overall picture as to how these systems are working, right? From like inside, on both levels. I know how these systems work. And there's going to be a lot of issues there that currently in our current system are not addressed. So my personal opinion would be it is not wise to do something of that nature at this moment unless you are dealing, and this might sound crazy, but it would be better and more profitable for Guyana to take their convicted prisoners who are serving time and keep them in a facility here that the international agencies will pay us to house these people. At the same time, I would also recommend in that type of situation that we have officers from the United States here or foreign law enforcement here. Because it would be very hard to upkeep a safe standard without some form of corruption happening if we were to just use our localized law enforcement and prison services. There have already been too many gaps in the system. And trust me when I tell you, if someone is a seasoned criminal, they're incredibly intelligent, and Guyana is not ready for the brain power of certain types of criminal entities. We're still fighting with each other and calling each other names on social media, right? So I just want you to know, we as a country are still fighting among each other for the little shit. We still don't even know how to do proper research. I mean, just the other day, all these accusations about the minister, everything that went out there. Of course, I'm very grateful to the government and to the minister for putting the facts out there where the public can review those facts. And based on my opinion, based on my investigations, I haven't seen anything wrong there, right? Nothing that could not be done through a legal mechanism, because those mechanisms are there and in place for certain things. And but I see people taking that and trying to turn it into a crime. And in my opinion, that's because of a lack of financial comprehension or understanding, right? And, you know, people not really leveraging their positions correctly. So some people who may not know how to access those services start to get jealous of other people. And they're like, oh my God, we see so much growth. But here's the reality. The entire country is growing, okay? The entire country is growing. There are tons and tons of money being spent in Guyana right now. And the only way people are not getting to benefit from it, for the most part, is if they are misinformed as to how to get access to it. If you don't have skills, my best advice to you, learn some serious skills, because you need to learn skills, okay? And you need to be self-motivated. But unfortunately, what I see is a lot of people looking at other persons and they are judging them by their own ability. And that is very unfair. That is very, very unfair to judge everyone else by your personal ability. The first thing you need to do is stop and look at your life and say, are you where you want to be in this life? And if you're not, then you need to start focusing on what other people are doing to get ahead. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. I've been out there on social media for the last few years. And I'm here as a lesson to the entire nation that no matter how much you get kicked down in life, once you're willing to work hard and honestly, you can climb up. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm not telling you that it's anybody's job to do you a favor and open up a door for yourself. But what I will tell you is, no matter what adversity you are facing in this life, if you believe in yourself and you are willing to do what is righteous, you will eventually get where you're going. But don't be fooled. The universe is fair. It will make you pay for every sin you did or every sin you have not even done. People will come at you. They will do everything that they could to try to tear a hole in your ass. That's normal. In fact, if no one is doing that, then you are doing something wrong. Okay? And I'll explain to you the reasoning behind that. When you're suffering, how many people do you see coming to your rescue? Very few. Very few people are coming to your rescue when you're suffering. However, when you start to climb, the same people that never paid you any mind suddenly got something nasty to say about you. That is jealousy, that is bad-mindedness, right? Covetousness, lawlessness, laziness. Bottom line, if when you see me starving, you are unwilling to give me a loaf of bread or a glass of water, and suddenly I somehow survive, suddenly people want you to feel guilty for surviving. That's crazy, right? But what I've learned throughout this whole thing is, despite what people say, you cannot lower yourself to their level. And you have to be self-motivated. You have to find the energy to push past the negativity. It is not easy. And I believe that right now in Guyana, a lot of people are just very demotivated, very, very frustrated, and it puts us all on edge to where we end up becoming each other's enemies, which is bad, right? Imagine up till last night at like 8:30. Thank God I didn't see it until this morning. I noticed a guy, Lloyd. I spoke about him on my on Facebook the other day, right? And I spoke about this platform, and I was very particular with my words. I said his platform. I did not say everybody else's platform, but of course, you know, people don't want to go down alone, so they're gonna try for gang up on you real fast. So he's trying to make this thing look like I spoke about this entire platform. Let me clarify this. Not your entire platform, Mr. Lloyd Draper, if you're watching. Just you, because you said some incorrect things. However, when I noticed the message was saying he wanted to apologize, so on and so forth. Thank God I didn't go on his show, because later on, earlier this afternoon, I get the video. It looked like the man just wanted to bring me on the show to try to insult me. That is that is such childish stuff. And it's just so crazy. But that's what people do to you. And ladies and gentlemen, you can't let it affect you. There are too many Guyanese that need to have an opportunity to grow past those boundaries that were set on them by society. There's a lot of people set to just stay in one place, you know, and it's hard for people to grow out of that. And I'll tell you where that comes from. That comes from a caste system mentality. Because whether we like it or not, Guyana still has hints of a class system mentality in us, right? For the same reason that that people still feel like people like slavery or some stuff like that. No, it is the trauma that has been left for generations within the people. An example of this, ladies and gentlemen, look at the recent video that is circulating right now with Mr. Muhammad Sr., where Mr. Muhammad Sr., you hear him talking down to what is seemingly what I would presume or assume based on the conversation is a foreign African employee. Where he's telling him, go walk with your black man and this and this and this. Like, you know, it's in our culture, both Indians and blacks in this country, because you go to an Indian family, they might tell you carry your coolie skunt, and you go to a black family, they might tell you carry your coolie skunt. You go to an Indian family, they might tell you carry a black skunt, and so on and so forth. This is like This stuff has been embedded into us, right? And at least it's not embedded into me, so I'm kind of happy about that. But watch how the situation unfolded with that conversation. The man start talking about your black this and go there and work with your multi-black people and all these, you know. Now, I can't tell you the reasoning why he said that, but it sounds like the man was pretty frustrated. Could be all of the pressure coming down too, and people start to break, right? This is, in my opinion, is a sign of people breaking, right? Right? It is a serious, serious thing. A man there under a lot of pressure, and all this pressure start compounding on you. The only thing that you could do now is basically revert to whatever you truly are, right? Christine, it could be, it can't be. That's why I haven't done too many commenting on it, because unless I see the man physically with my own two eyes saying that, it wouldn't be the smartest thing for me to do too many commentary on. But if it is the case, look how people are using those things. Look at how racism is still used in politics. Look at how all of these things are still used in politics. And it's because we allowed these things to infect us. And that type of infection, it's not a rapid style of infection. Right? That's something that has infected people by years of trauma, pain, hurt. And we as Guyanese need to be better than that. This generation should become the generation that breaks that type of horrible negative monotony that continues throughout our generations, because our whole country is changing, the environment is changing, right? And with everything else that's happening, the old system is changing, everything is transforming, and it is important that the attitude, perspective, and outlook of the entire Guyanese population evolve along with the process. Because it doesn't matter how much development happens in the country, if we are not continually developing what's in here and what comes out of here and how we guard here, then we are defenseless against any true attack that comes against us as a nation. Because the reality is, Guyana is a beautiful place, but we suffer a natural disaster. It's called the people. And the people could be the most beautiful thing of this country, but unfortunately for the history of this country, we have made our country a very horrible place when it comes to certain rights and certain things that we must, like we should be standing up for each other. We have become a country of gossip. The accusation, we treat as law. Stereotyping, we treat as way of life, right? Political victimization just became a normal business practice in this whole thing. This is wrong. It is wrong. And it's going to require a whole generation or two of Guyanese working in a very productive way to nip those things in the bud, kill those feelings, kill the low talk, kill all of this unnecessary drama. Even this morning, I was speaking with one of my uncles. And my uncle and my father, oh my God, they hate each other. They absolutely freaking hate each other. And it's so funny, because no matter how much development I'm doing on behalf of the family, those two old men would rather fight and see everything destroyed than to just shut up and work in peace, because everyone wants to have the last say. Pride. What are we really working toward? And pride, is that the real reason why we are tearing a hole in each other? Pride, right? Let me read some of these comments. I see some comments coming in here. See what seems like a lengthy one here? Okay, let's see. Natasha, from Natasha Austin. Okay, I don't know about Guyana. I only heard of other countries that are accepting them and getting paid. Yes, yes. In regards to that, that from what I understand is very, very true. It's happening in El Salvador right now at CCOT. CCOT is accepting prisoners from the United States and other places, I would presume, and they are being paid a rental fee and such to house those prisoners. But also understand the CCOT is probably the most fortified and the stiffest, most horrible prison that you could think about for the mind. Right? And if we're going to do something like CCOT, I understand. We could make money for that. We could definitely make money from that. And that would be safer for our nation than importing refugees. Because the refugees come in, who's keeping track of them? What's really happening? How are these things being addressed? Can they work? If they're working, will they be satisfied with what they're working? Because no matter how many opportunities are available, there's a lot of opportunities available for Guyanese who might want to work right now. But you might have the same issue. Nobody wants to work for that money. Everybody wants to get rich overnight. So what makes you think that the refugees who come in aren't going to want to get rich overnight as well? Much less if they have less to lose and they're already in a bad spot. Next, you have to take in the social stigmatisms and everything else. We Guyanese are not really nice to people that might need our help. We tend to treat them like shit. And if you believe that that will not somehow backfire on us in a nasty way, you're wrong. In fact, my honest opinion right now for Guyana for safety is if you're not investing in this country and you're not a skilled person who is coming to this country to build a business and offer the people of Guyana services that are much needed, then my opinion is we probably shouldn't do it until we develop a better security capacity for such situations. But that's just my opinion. I don't run the country. I'm just a civilian. But if there's a bunch of strange new faces running around the country who are desperate, then that can lead to a lot of serious problems. Problem number one, Abi Guyanese, we like to look for an opportunity to get away with anything, which means real criminals who are hidden in Guyana will see these people come in, and let's say they wait for these people to come in, then they start kick down people's door and murder them and all sorts of thing. Then you gotta go through a whole nonsense. No, man. The preservation of life of the people of Guyana, I think should be put on, the forefront. Mana, you grew... I guess you're trying to say privilege, Errol, but the spelling is wrong, Errol. Errol Hack. Yeah, man, I wish I grew up a privileged life. I really didn't grow up a privileged life, right? In fact, I could tell you from an early age, I was on my own. I ran away from home. I did all sorts of shit, right? Trying to change a life. So if there was privilege, I ran away from it, brother, right? And then when I did start stepping in manhood, I saw a whole bunch of other chaos and negativity. So I'm not really sure what privilege you're talking about. But if you see me looking comfortable now to some degree, it's because I've worked my ass off for it. And by the way, I've done every bit of my work live and direct in front of the Guyanese population. From cleaning dog shit to cutting jungles, bro. So yeah, if that sounds like privilege to you, I would like to share my privilege with you. Right? I would love to share that privilege with you. I got the chainsaw, cutlass, some long boots, right? And some shoe spray. Because where my privileges apparently had mosquito and plenty of it, right? So, and snake and thing like that. So I just want to clarify that, right? Before people like privilege. Privilege what? The privilege to be tormented for years and years and years? That is not privilege, brother. That's not even prestige. That's just pure problems and drama. And I'm very grateful I've survived and became a bit wiser because of it. Right? Right? Very, very important to know that. Right? Yeah. But imagine I went through all of that shit in this life In fact, if you guys did some research, you would see all sorts of accusations, all sorts. Let's just say I'm the bad guy for all intents and purposes. Let's say I was the worst thing in the world, the most screwed up piece of shit human being that you could ever find in history. I'm the stupidest motherfucker. I'm all of that. Let's just say that that was me. And somehow I was able to survive and grow in Guyana legally. That alone should let you know. The only reason why people in Guyana can't get where they're going is because plenty of people looking for shortcut and they're lazy. I'm the perfect definition of somebody who probably shouldn't have made it. And if I can make it through hard work, what is stopping everybody else who is so much better than me? All of the perfect people. How can I move faster than those who are better than me? Remember, guys, I'm not out here pretending to be something I'm not. I'm not out here telling you to vote for me. I can care less about that shit. Because what I noticed when I was wrongfully put in prison, and what I noticed when I got involved in politics is, it's all the same people. The attitudes are the same. In fact, I think politics is more vicious. It was after having those experiences, I decided, shit, boy, I really don't like that. I don't necessarily want to be too associated with that. But as a citizen, I want to live a good life. I want to feel free and safe in my country. And if we're adding more people into the mix and we don't quite have a foothold on what we have right now, it just looks like a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. Okay? Right? So, you know, like I said before, I'm not here pretending to be everything. I'm here to be who I am meant to be. Whatever fact that is, whatever negativity, whatever positivity, whatever challenge, all I can be is truthful and hope that people are wise enough to learn from my experiences so that it never happens to you. It has been a very hard road, right? Fighting against victimization, stagnation, false allegations, working hard, people thieving from you, you're trying to do things right. All of these things. I'm speaking from a lived experience here. And I'm speaking from a place of empathy, compassion, and understanding. Okay? I've been persecuted more than almost anybody else I personally know. Right? And I refused for it to turn me into a desperate, non-law abiding individual. Instead, contrary to that effect, I have given more of myself over the years. I've been systematically giving away my inheritance to good people. And I have found more contentment and happiness in doing so. I've even financially grown stronger because of helping other people. Yeah, there's people along the way that are robbing you. Yeah, you get in roadblock here, roadblock there. And this is just me as a citizen in the country, you know. And I know my way around Guyana. And I'm doing everything legitimately by the book. And it's still hard. And I can say I have assets now. And it's still hard. So if it is our choice to bring refugees into the country, into a country they don't know, we don't even know if they're going to know the language, and mix them throughout our society, there needs to be one hell of a program in place for that. There needs to be housing, And you can't just think, oh, we're just going to bring the men. No, it doesn't happen like that. There's going to be families. There's going to be families. There's going to be a whole bunch of integration. At this point in time, I don't think it's the smartest thing for Guyana to do. Until we have more systems in place to accommodate that project there in a way that is not going to negatively affect the people of Guyana. But having the discussions about it is not a bad thing. But the people of Guyana definitely need to have a saying in that. Because it's the same people of Guyana who are currently crying and saying there are no opportunities. Natasha, no. The government did not commit to anything. Everything is in discussions at the moment. And that is why it's important for these types of platforms to discuss this stuff in hopes that the powers that be are watching so that they can hear exactly what the people are saying about it. Now, of course, if a PPP member puts it up on their page, you may get only PPP member comments. Or you may get negative comments coming from it from one side because they say, man, that's a PPP member. They put it up on the page. We don't like the PPP, so nothing they say makes sense. Boom. Or if you did it vice versa from APNU or PNC page, it may be the same type of thing. I'm probably the only neutral motherfucker out here because I don't give a shit. But I will tell you, I do support the PPP for governance at this moment. And I've always declared that because they are still the most equipped party to manage the country. Good. That being said, there's no other party that has even a similarly close capacity. And in that reasoning there, they're still the best in the country. I can't put my personal interests there. I gotta put what the interest of the whole country. At the end of the day, I can't live in this country alone. It's not just me. I can't do business in this country. I can't grow in this country if this country ain't moving forward. So that's why all of those things that are happening, bye Christine, all of those things that are happening, they become points of interest for the average citizen. And I hope our government, and which includes the opposition, because the government is both the admin and the opposition, that's our government, right? I hope our government collectively can review all of the issues that may or may not arise from that type of situation before doing an influx of refugees, before doing anything of that nature. Because it will eventually affect all people in Guyana. And for that, it needs to have everybody's representative in government needs to be able to give their opinion. Exactly, Gina. Well, the president did say they will be swearing in an opposition leader. He said that in a brief statement in the media, right? So let's see what's actually going to happen there, right? But me, I'm a serious man. I see certain things being said. There's only so much that could be done, and I hope that we get an opposition leader in there as fast as possible so that the show can go on without any further delay. Right? Without any further delay. But I do understand that they have their court processes and everything they're going through, and I'm not in the government. I cannot influence the government in an immediate way. The most that I can do is put out here that we do need to have an opposition leader, and the president did address it by saying that there will be an opposition leader sworn in soon, right? Because they plan on moving in line with the Constitution. And, I'm good with that. Now I'm just, you got to give them time to see exactly what it is they do. Anybody else who has an issue with that, well, there's a method or a means by which you have to go and take that up and follow up with that. Right? Vishal, no sanctioned person cannot be sworn in as an opposition leader, bro. Okay, so this is where I think, and I need to be very, 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 very precise with my language here, because It's a very dangerous thing to be talking about, believe it or not, on social media. I know for me, I've started receiving a whole bunch of attacks, and suddenly I started hearing more slander about myself and everything else. You know, it's just human nature. But there's nothing in the Constitution that prevents someone who was sanctioned from an outside country from being sworn in as opposition leader. That's one thing. So, I mean, let me just be constitutionally correct there. There is nothing in there that I have seen that would prevent that. However, there may be a host of other issues that the government has access to that me as a normal civilian would not be able to view. Good. Next, I'm all about the Constitution because the Constitution protects our rights. And when you stand up for the Constitution and anything looks a little funny, you got to question why. Why is it this way? And more than likely, the reasoning behind it is because the government knows that based on their records, they would have had reason to charge a particular individual, but they have to hold back the charges so that the person could be extradited. And I believe that that would be their reasoning. I cannot say yay or nay based on that because the opposition does have representatives. And I am not an opposition member. I'm just a member of the public, a citizen with an opinion. And I do my best to ground those opinions in constitutional fact. Because, you know, I've learned, like I said, I've been attacked over the years, like a lot of attacks. Right? A lot of attacks. Tell you're alive, the charges are bullshit. Listen, I can't say whether charges on, you know, Mr. Muhammad are factual or not factual. The evidence would have to showcase that because there is a law and a legal process. At least I know that I never hung out with Muhammad, so how could I tell you what Muhammad has done? Or how could I say if it's good or bad? I've never hung out with any government officials, right? We don't hang out, right? I'm just a citizen. So I'm affected by the stuff that affects us normal citizens. So when I see certain things affecting us normal citizens, I'm going to talk out. Antoinette Johnson, sorry, Snow, it's like American Guyanese Constitution died, no one respect that. Yeah, I've been seeing so many things in this world these days. Listen, one of my best pieces of advice, right? One of my best pieces of advice to the people of Guyana, and you need to pay attention to this, because this is probably one of the most honest things I could possibly say here. Don't know how much trouble I can get into for saying this, but the country is moving forward. We all know that ain't nothing perfect. We know that corruption lies in the blood of this country because corruption comes from the heart of the people of this country. Corruption is not a disease that we were immune to because we are all human beings. We are prone to sin, and there are going to be things that are not always going to be above board or under board. I can only look at things safely that are relatable directly to the livelihood of the people of Guyana, right? And once I don't see a direct crime committed against the people of Guyana, then I must stop right there. For all of the same obvious reasons. All of the same obvious reasons. Do I expect the country to be fair? Hell no. Not with this, not with the human beings that exist in Guyana right now. We can't expect fairness. But can we logically expect some degree of progress to come in over the next few years? Logically, yes. Okay? Can we fight every battle and win? More than likely, no, we can't. There are going to be some battles you cannot freaking win because the chips are stacked against you. And honesty will only carry you so far in a country like Guyana. I do not expect our politicians to be honest. I do not expect our police department to be honest. I do not expect our people to be honest. But what I do expect is that we might all want to grow in some way. And the fastest way to grow currently is currently behind this current government. Whether you like it or not. Hands down. They're the better of the two. And that is it. But now, when we start talking about taking people from a different country that have absolutely nowhere to go and giving them refugee status in our country without fully having a framework for them in place, that can become very dangerous. And I believe the amount of consultations that need to be done behind that will probably take at least 2 years before they even get to a right to drawing board to figure out what to do with that. And there's no way that that can even be addressed until there's a sitting opposition leader. Whoever that may be. Right? Also, I want to lay it out to the public. Please remember, even if your politicians are fighting each other, it does not mean that you are fighting each other. Why are you fighting each other? The people are supposed to be one. The politicians are supposed to work for the people. They're supposed to be the administration and the opposition, but both of them are supposed to work constructively and collectively for the people under them. That is it. That is reality. But we find ourselves fighting the politicians' fights in our own lives. We find ourselves attacking each other, hating each other, hurting each other's feelings. Everybody trying to show that you got the biggest balls. So what if you got the Gordy? You got carried up. That don't make me look at you any big. All I say is, man, I got more weight for carry. That's why you would notice over the last few weeks too, right? A lot of people might say something negative to me, but I can choose how I wish to respond to negativity. I can't prevent it, but I can choose how I wish to respond to it. That is a personal choice. That is within self. It requires discipline. A lot of it, because some people that say some hurtful thing by it, tell you just want to just go and, karate kid this gun. But it is what it is. You can't stop that. So focus on what you have control over. Have control over yourself. Prove a point to yourself every day, not to everybody else. Because when you wake up in the morning, it's you yourself you're looking in the mirror. You need to improve yourself every day for you. And once you can take care of yourself well and live a good life, only then do you have something positive to offer to the public out there. Only then. I'm so tired of seeing our people fight. I've lost faith to some degree in the political system. I've lost faith in our people's ability to distinguish between right and wrong 80% of the time. That in itself is a tragedy. So for anybody who ever say something bad about somebody else, or why shit talk people and want to throw people under the bus. Let us fix this problem first and then throw everybody down as much as you want. But if you can't fix the problem, your words mean nothing. They shall disappear in the breeze. We need to help each other. And that's why I do these particular programs, because how can I be useful? Or can I be helpful if I don't understand the needs of our people? No, my brother, I was actually at work. Went to work very early, got stuff taken care of, got back in here early. Still got some meetings later on this afternoon, but got this moment in between. Right? Got this moment in between. So definitely gonna address it, because, you know, this is probably a very serious thing that needs to be addressed. Before somehow you wake up one morning and then you hear, you know, somebody passed a law, or somebody made a deal, and next thing you know, we have, you know, 10,000 deportees that don't speak our language, that are probably have a criminal nature. We don't know. Now, and by the way, not everybody who's deported is a criminal, so please ensure that everybody understands that. Or take on 50,000 refugees in an influx without truly knowing what's going to happen. Right? Guyana cannot handle that at this moment, in my personal opinion. Right? And like I said, very seldom would you hear me agreeing, right, with statements made by the PNC. However, if somebody says something that makes sense, I gotta give Jack his jacket. Nartin went on TV last night. I believe that's Nartin. Yeah, and my boy went. And my boy mentioned the one word that made the most sense. My boy said, we don't have the capacity. As soon as he said that, I said, oh God, I gotta kick myself in the foot. Because the man said something sensible. You see, I'm a fair man. I ain't got time. Even if I'm not voting or supporting the PNC or something, if somebody says something, I will give them their fucking credit, because the only thing that's going to bring Guyana straight is truth. You cannot be scared to say when you're dirty. You cannot be scared for saying if you make a mistake. You must be willing to apologize, to learn from it, to grow. Now, I am certain that our administration are smart enough to not want to take on criminals. However, at the same time, nobody is perfect, and the system might still have loopholes. So that's why capacity building for our law enforcement, having the support from the international agencies to structure these programs in a humanitarian way, key. Because no sense in having refugees if you can't show them how they can build a life. And if we are bringing people from abroad and showing them how to live their life, and we cannot help the people who are crying about poverty in this country live their life, then we are the refugees. How much more we want? I feel like a refugee in my own country half the time, the amount of shit I've been through. Right? So, you know, we need to ensure that we have the necessary systems in place. Darab, Raj, who is the madman? Nartin or me? I need you to specify this. Listen, better for call me the madman. Don't call nobody no name. Anybody want to call anybody name right now? I just call me the negative names. You want to call anybody anything bad? Forgive all of them. Call me the names. Somebody got to take it. Somebody got to take all the negativity away from these platforms. Somebody got to carry the cross so that we could stop the hate, stop the fear, stop the animosity, stop the hurt. So, ladies and gentlemen, let everybody who got something negative to say about somebody, let them say it about me. To my children who hear bad things said about your father, forgive them. for God has blessed you. We cannot be so thin-skinned. I tell you, man, this morning, I was having a conversation with my uncle. And no matter how much good I'm doing for the family, my uncle and my father, they hate each other, man. Why? Because of 40 years of back and forth shit talking. 40 years, 4 decades. 4 decades of shit talking. And me and my cousins, we live great. But that generation, holy shit, I don't know what happened in that generation. But that, in my opinion, is a generation of hate. The generation before me is a generation of hate, a generation of pain, a generation of sheer confusion. What happened here, man? What is happening here? Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what that is. Okay, Jay Uncut. I'm going to read, right? Read Jay Uncut's messages there. You honestly think America will know their entire life story? No, I don't, and that's the whole thing. You know, I don't know where these people are coming from. I don't think their whole life story is going to be well documented. You know, the fact that America is just trying to clean up their place, I can understand that, but do we really want to take the garbage? That's the next question, right? Because we don't really know what's going on. Next thing, many of these individuals went to the USA illegally, so they don't even know who they are. Exactly. So, which means we will not know exactly who they are, Jay. And that's why I say capacity, capacity, capacity. What is our capacity to handle that type of situation? Why has this thing got a little thing on it? Can people see your comments here, Jay? What is this? Oh, hold on. Hold on. Approve. Okay, good. Because I was wondering. There you go, Jay. Your comments can now be shown. I was wondering. I'm like, what the hell? How come I can't? What's that little thing there? Sorry, I've been on TikTok a lot too, but just, I do a lot more Facebook stuff. But yeah, very good comments. Very, very good comments. And definitely deserve to be on the live because it's in the interest of everyone. Right? But yeah, man, ladies and gentlemen, for anybody out there still fighting, still calling each other names, stuff like that, listen, man, just remember, Papa Snow said, call me all the names. Call me whatever bad name you want to call me. Even if you got a problem with somebody else, you want to cuss somebody up, just say, hey, Snow, you know what? This is just me venting. Don't take it personal. You fucking idiot. Okay, good. I can understand that. I don't have to listen. But I know. Call me the bad names. Stop attacking each other. Stop attacking each other. Because the more we keep fighting with each other, the less progress we will have. And at the end of the day, trust me, ladies and gentlemen, you will each have a better life if you were working together honestly, without hurling insults at one another. Okay? Like I said, people out there, some people, when I share my opinion, they're going to call me all sorts of stuff. They're going to say all sorts of shit. Some people are going to say you're a convict. Some people are going to say you're a fraud. Some people are going to say you're a jackass. Some people are going to say you're retarded. Some people are going to say you're an anti-man. People are going to say all sorts of things. And at the end of the day, I'm still inside my house, in my office, drinking a cup of tea, sitting down with no major debt over my head, nobody chasing me down or anything along that area. But I will say, let everybody call me their names, and I'm still living way more comfortable than them because I'm not covetous, I'm not greedy, I work for what I want. That's life. That's life. My character is not measured by my bank account or not measured by my social status. It's measured by the man that I become and the man that I train my children, my sons to be, and the women that I train my daughters to become. That is who you truly are. What did you send on to that next generation? Growing up, I was surrounded by hate, anger, anxiety. I choose not to carry that into the future. Maybe that's why the devil hits me so hard, because he wanted to break me. I'm not letting the devil break me. And I suggest neither of you allow it to happen either. Right? Nobody's perfect. But every day we have an opportunity to be better people than we were the day before. And I believe that is possible for every Guyanese and everyone out in the world. Right? But being a better person also means making more intelligent decisions. So I hope that we can reflect on this topic here, and we could voice our concerns to our government representatives so that they would understand that we may not have the capacity for that yet. But if the government decides to act on that, that means that there will be more jobs available, but more than likely in law enforcement, prison services, so on and so forth. So there are benefits to that as well, right? Not saying that it's just all negative, right? There could be tons and tons of benefits from it if it is monitored right. But I haven't seen many things in Guyana monitored right. We are still restructuring NDCs. We're still trying to get in the right administrative people just to run communities correctly. Do we really want to take on more liability? And that becomes the end result. How much liability is Guyana prepared to take on? Darius, right now I need a job. My brother, check out the ministry. Check all the ministries. All the ministry got things pulled up. There are a lot of jobs in Guyana right now, brother. There should be nobody in Guyana right now saying that they can't get the job. Right? Now, whether you're going to get the job you want versus what is available, that is a different story. That is a different story. Now, me personally, even my network job fair, we have been switching up away from online employment. We've set up a couple thousand people in Guyana who are doing online employment, work from home services. Some people did really well there. Other people got into investing, and we are now growing into something else. So, even when it comes to jobs and stuff, I know a couple people called me over the last few weeks and asking me about employment. I'm not the guy to come to for employment anymore. My days of hiring people directly and all that stuff, done. I'm not at that level no more. Papa Snow done gone up somewhere else. Right? And I'll tell you why too. Another reason, that was very, very important for me. Another reason is because based on how nasty the situation is, people are sending people in undercover saying they want a job just to come and spy on you and sabotage you and damage you. So you got to really know what you're doing. Right? And because of all of those systematic attacks and all of that, I don't want too many people close to me. I don't want too many people close to me. Because you don't know what they're really there for. You and somebody could be good, but they come with an agenda. They come with an agenda. Right? So these are things you got to be very mindful of. That's why if anybody's even going to work for me or work with me, they don't even work for me. They'll have to work through one of the partnerships. They'll never even see me. Which is funny. Why? Because now I can be an undercover boss if I need to. And people would never even know they work for me. You know how many people I've seen talk shit before didn't even know that they were working for me? Somewhere down the line, through a contact, through a connect or something, didn't know I could have pulled their job. I could have fired their family. I could have made their life hell. But I'm not a malicious person like that. And the one thing I don't do is take bread out the people's mouth. Unless I'm putting something else in it. That can be taken a lot of ways, but respectfully speaking. Right? I believe that everybody who's willing to work must be blessed with their pay so that they can build a life. Now, when you get in your pay, you got to do what other people doing now. Right? You got to go ahead and you got to start investing your money. And the more credible you are as a person, the more liability people are willing to take with you, and the bigger your partnerships and investments can be done. Right? Shatal, this is a question on TikTok. Shatal Charitar. Please, I hope I'm not butchering your name. Talk about the underpaying people. I'll tell you this. Nobody underpays you. You choose to accept less pay. Let me say that again. Nobody underpays you. You choose to accept less pay. If you go to a job, it is your responsibility to ask someone, how much are you paying for this job? If somebody says, man, I paying $5,000 a day, 6 days a week, that's $30,000. Okay? At the end of the week, when you collect your $30,000, you can't go and tell the man, buddy, you're underpaying me. You can't. What I would do is tell you, Chantal, if you're a skilled person and you want to make as much money as possible, open up a small business and do it from that angle. After doing it from that angle and bearing all of that responsibility on your own, then you can come back and tell me, truthfully, as a business owner, if you were underpaying your people. I just believe in that respect. I believe everybody should have a chance to go and try for yourself and see if it makes sense. But there's no way somebody can underpay me. What I consider underpayment is, me and Jim has a contract. The contract is, Jim says, Mr. Snow, take this shade and move it 100 foot. And for every foot you move it, I pay you $1. At the end of it, you're getting $100. Well, Mr. Snow, take it and move it the 100 foot. Jim want to pay Mr. Snow $50. That is on pay. But if Jim says, Mr. Snow, every day I need this thing move 100 feet, I pay him $5,000 a day. And Mr. Snow agree, then it's not underpayment. That was the terms of the contract. Whether Mr. Snow accepted in a positive interest or a negative interest, it was Mr. Snow's choice to accept that. So that is not underpaying. Now, what you might be talking about, and I think a lot of people have this in their mind, is, raise minimum wage. But if you raise it too high, you do that at the consequence to something else. Now, what I could honestly tell you is that this world is fair. The universe is fair in a lot of ways. Learn how to deliver maximum value, and you will learn how to make maximum income. But if it is your ideology that you are going to work a regular 9 to 5 and somehow get where you want to go in this life, only doing that, you're in the wrong world. That is not planet Earth in 2026. Right? That was planet Earth in the 1960s and the 1970s, which somehow we still have in our head. Thanks to inflation, cost of living, all of these things, it is not like that anymore. And we need to get that past ideology out our head. It is a false misconception of what reality really is in the financial world in this day and age. And for those who choose not to learn, you're gonna learn the hard way. You're gonna learn the hard way, right? And that's nothing that anybody else can do for you except you yourself. Only you yourself could do that. What's up, Wildside? Peace out, brother. Only you yourself can do that. Nobody can force you to do that. So you have to really make up your mind to do what needs to be done to grow legitimately. And it's going to be hard work if you're coming from a bad disposition. And you cannot be scared of doing the hard work. Somebody has to make the sacrifice for your generation to grow up. Trust me when I tell you, most of us are in a bad position, not because of your personal actions, but because our parents made a series of poor decisions, or our grandparents or our great-grandparents. But maybe ignorance was the case. Maybe they just didn't know better. But now that you know better, you have the responsibility upon yourself now to change the generational outlook if you truly want to see something different. And if you refuse to put in the work, then when the results pass you by and you are not a part of it, do not blame everybody else. Do not say, we're poor people. You are poor people because you choose to stay poor. This life will always have poor people. Poverty is a punishment that comes with ignorance to your situation. Learn to be self-aware. Learn to develop yourself. Learn to build your skill sets. Learn to become independent of other people for your basic needs, and you will grow. Best advice I can give you there. Best advice I could give you there on it, right? Rasa Fashion, I think I just see a request here. You're still on? Sorry, brother. Right? So, yeah, you know, Christopher Moore, good advice, but why home prices so high, guy? Oh, it's real simple, you know. Guyana's a small country. We had, up until the other day, right, our development wasn't like booming, right? So there's only so many logical places that new businesses and investors can immediately set up shop and start building so they could grow. So that creates a demand on what was already in short supply, right? And then the government is currently pushing right now to expand their housing sector so that, you know, they can accommodate more people in terms of residential housing and build the communities that are necessary. But because there's such a high demand on land right now, land and housing prices are going to be through the roof. And believe it or not, that is actually in the benefit of the people of Guyana. So, you know, we have to smile, because think about it. Everybody in Guyana want to get paid more money. But then if we got to charge more for the things that we have, people saying, why are you so expensive? Well, it's simple. We got to pay people more. It don't come out of nowhere. It got to come from somewhere. Hardale, give me right. No, not me. Not me. Not no next president, nothing Scott. People get killed, people get attacked, people get sanctioned for statement like Dubai. Not fucking me. The other day I talking good, somebody jump out, said I was an opportunist. I had to laugh. Right? I had to laugh. And I said, hey, you know what? The only thing I want is an opportunity to live as a free man and to be peaceful. Right? And to enjoy a certain quality of life. And somebody said I was an opportunist. Holy shit, I didn't know that was an opportunist. But, you know, just want to see your place run right so you can live in peace and not get robbed and not get fucked up. I was called an opportunist. So I said, okay, interesting. Right? Antoinette? Yeah, you know, my live is not for everyone, Antoinette Johnson. It's not for everyone. You know, if somebody lacks a basic understanding or comprehension of the English language, this is probably not the place for them to be, because they will be very confused, and, you know, they'll have a problem keeping up, and they're probably going to get advice from 30 other people who don't know like them to try to figure out what is this man saying in English, because they don't understand it. I've seen that already too, right? But president and stuff like that, please don't put me in that right now. That's the type of talk right there, get people victimized, right? You know, in America and other countries and stuff, you know, when people say, hey, you know what, I might be interested in doing this. You know, people say, you know what, go ahead, go and try your luck. Not in Guyana, by not in Guyana, by you say something like that, suddenly you're victimized. You beat to get skin from the North Pole to the South Pole. I quite enjoy being an average citizen without the responsibilities. right? And until the country cleans up and the attitude of the people clean up, right? Yeah, brother, I was trying to get you on just now. If you want to come on, I saw the request. You can send back a request. I was having a little issue there, right? You send back the request. And let me see. I saw one from you. I tried to accept it, but I guess it was too late. Here, boom. There you go. I accepted here again. All right. Oh, what is this? Okay. I've never used this type of. This is kind of cool. Okay. Yeah, brother. Welcome.
What's up, man? Hey, yo, what's up? Hey, Snow, here's my boy. You know me here the long. Be there ramping since 2020. Be there ramping since 2020, right?
Right. It is what it is, brother. But we all.
One of the more on them, right? We used to give the people them food for the brain, right? And I love how you come out now.
Well,
and you're rapping now for the people. No party or no color.
Yeah, but I listen, I don't got time with color, I ain't got time with party. One, I got R6 race in me. So I can't hate any without hating myself. Tell you straight.
Respect.
You understand?
But here I'm telling you, no, the full topic where you come on with earlier, I was watching.
Yeah, well, right now that's the topic, right? Like you know, should we allow these people in? You know what?
At all, no. We done got 200-300 overrunning the country without no manners, no kind of fully amalgamated. They put it, never even in the system then.
So let's say
Remember now, I listen to these boys, these boys talks, these boys say Guyana on an advanced level and the 5G is on and everything is going to be incorporated into the computation then. But
okay, what I would say is once they could show that they're building the systems and the systems can pass all international queries and the systems are, you know, they complement what the people of Guyana want, in which case that becomes the people say and not the politicians say. But, you know, I would say that we shouldn't do it, this is just my opinion, until we have the necessary capacity and the things that we have here first are running right. We should not take on more headache until we are first, you know, sorted out all of the drama we got going on down here.
Yeah, I agree with you, right? And then now, you have to
When we see somebody else.
The constitutional is that they have other politicians, right, with the opposition. Now, if these man didn't even get a piece of saying in W1 or sign to and agree upon, well, man, we are come telling the people, boy, what kind of thing you really telling the people?
Well, mine I say, remember, Rasa, let me tell you, right now, remember, nobody hasn't agreed on anything. They're in discussions right now, right? So we're just making sure that since they are in discussion of this type of topic, that we as the people are voicing our opinion and our concerns before something happens, and then we, you know, somebody says, well, you know, you had an opportunity to talk, and you didn't talk when you had the opportunity, right? So these are the things that we need to. Hold on, I think some people are coming on here. How does this work? Oh, boom.
Here to see now,
boom.
Even if it's discussion,
does it work like that?
Dissection, right? The opposition have to put the input.
Yeah, the opposition has to put their input. But like I said, remember, we have to be very, very careful with wording here, right? No one said that this was happening immediately. They said that there are discussions and consultations and all of these things that are happening. So, you know, we're making sure that we address those things, right? Because nothing has happened yet. Good day, good afternoon. Welcome to the panel.
Good afternoon, Papa. Russ, I agree with you clearly with what you're saying. We already know how the system is. Most times when the government come out and say, oh, we're in talks, is that it already happened. And the fact that in Parliament, in Parliament at the minute. There is no opposition, whereby they are beating around all the different bushes, all the corners, right? And they're, when it comes to the Constitution, they're not upholding it. They're doing what they feel like, how they feel like doing it, because they feel that they own Guyana, and that's just what it is, and that's straight facts.
Okay, well, I want to say something. My sister. You know what I found surprising? I found it surprising that I saw Mr. Norton comment on that issue of national security, because I consider that an issue of national security. But I did not see the presumptive opposition leader comment on that. I thought that was weird. I thought that was very strange.
No, maybe you didn't see it, but yes, he did.
He did?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
But you see what's happening, right? And what people are shying away from a lot of facts when it comes to certain things, right? Is that despite what the government might paint the Mohammeds as, the man has done something that hasn't been done in the history of politics in Guyana. The man created a party that within 3 months, you could literally say it's either magical or it's God or it's just the people, because people wanted a change or people looking for a change.
Well, I'll tell you this. What he did was he tapped into something that was already there. The people of Guyana are looking. The people of Guyana are looking for an opportunity, and that was there from before the Win Party. That's how come AFC and APNU and everything was right, because people were looking for a different option. So you know. So even though he may have came out and might be the new cereal box in the lane, people are still looking, because if it can't be represented correctly, the people are still going to need a representative. So, you know, I would hope that they have more representatives who are ready to come to front in the event of whatever might be happening with his personal situation.
Right. That is so true, right, in what you're saying. And then we also must recognize, right, how stifling the system is. And it only goes to, to the question, what was the opposition doing over the years? Because in the short space of time that Azraddin would have, been on this whole political journey, the amount of things that he would have done, the opposition together have not done any of it, and they would have been in place for decades. Right?
You know what? I agree with that. Now, in saying that Azraddin has done so much, we could all do a lot of things, but to really determine the motive behind all of those things is a different story, because the storyline behind it can be different stories but serving a similar purpose. So in that regard, the country could be benefiting in a big way by like a side effect of whatever's going on in that man's personal life. This is
correct.
You understand? So I just want to keep it clear, because we could see a man's face, but to see a man's heart,
we don't know. But then let's put it within this context, right? No matter how much they try to kill the Mohammeds, right? The people are still seeing right through that, and that's pure fact. Because
my sister, and to tell you, because of that same opinion is why I came out the other day and I said an opposition leader needs to be sworn in so that the government could be complete. Right?
Good. And then the fact what they're doing, right? The government is only continuing to make themselves look bad by coming out here and trying to paint this picture about the Mohammeds, when they're trying to say, okay, this man is corrupt, this man is this. But then, what you're doing, what are you doing? Because you're doing exactly what you're saying that this man is. You're going to all levels to ensure that you sink him. But then at the same time, we are not living in the time anymore where the big segregation amongst the people, Guyanese people, we are not living in that era anymore whereby you can just say things and then we are segregating. No, everybody is coming together to see exactly what it is. I mean, yes, you may see some people that are ignorant to certain facts, but then there are actually people who are there and see what the government is doing.
Well, my sister, I'll tell you what. I believe both the government and I believe the Win Party. And if everybody's saying that they got criminal and everything, I'm not going to deny anything. I believe all of them. Because at some point in time, all of them were somewhere involved in something now. But my thing is for the good people in government and the good people in the opposition and the innocent people that are there just hoping for a positive answer. Now, I can't speak for their representatives, but I can speak as a citizen. And what I can tell you as a citizen is right now, there are opportunities that if we were to look within self for the solution, we can improve ourselves and we can grow. And hopefully, once we can take that accountability and self-awareness, and we can grow within self, gradually we will start to see the environments around us changing to suit who we are. And you know, I'm not here.
Acknowledge what you're saying, right?
Yeah, brother.
Acknowledge what you're saying, right? But now, within every community, they got a community center, right? Now, the broadband width and the 5G circumferences is that your plane you want to implement now and saying we move it at a digital rate, right? But then you gotta give the people that and let them come and then sit down there. Remember me thing now, look, Snow, you know me from way back when, beef warring long. Remember now, me is not a hater of the PPP, you know. I hate of what they're doing to the people and the country as a whole, as a thing, as a whole, right? Remember now, anytime you want to change the matter to one Guyana.
Well, listen, I'll tell you this. I don't think the blame and everything that's happening right now should be blamed on political parties. I think we're just touching on the symptom of the issues that we're suffering, and we're not getting to the actual catalyst of the problem. If corruption exists in the country or unfair treatment exists in the country on a political level, that means it's already within the hearts of our citizens. Because everybody in politics is a Guyanese citizen and has come from Guyana. At least in Guyanese politics, right? No, but you understand what I'm saying? It all comes from one place. So it's more of an internal thing, and if we could fix it in our houses and we could fix it within ourselves, then that can resonate around us, and eventually we will be able to get something more clear, straight, and understandable. And I think that's probably one of the best, most productive ways to do it without any one of us putting ourselves in unnecessary danger or headaches or unnecessary confrontation or wasteful arguments that just kind of kill time where people insult each other and all of this crazy back and forth. Because, you know, it hasn't brought about any true positive results. Even up to today, people are still arguing. And I tell you, very few places you'll be able to go where you can hear people with so many different opinions getting the opportunity to voice their opinions without being attacked. Big thing, right?
But Snow, when I understand clearly what you're saying, but it's the politics that is always the thing between the people. It's nothing else, because when this whole politics thing, put all of that aside, whatever religion, whatever race we are in Guyana, we all come together, we eat from each other, we buy from each other, and we dwell amongst each other. The only difference is because what I can say, politicians who use this big race card amongst us that tends to divide us.
But you see, a person can only use your weakness against you if it is truly a weakness that you have. They can try to irritate you. People can say anything. How we choose to react.
But then, put it this way, right? Some people Me being a Afro-Guyanese, right? Some people, if you ask them, why are you voting for ACNU, they can't give you an answer. If you would reach an Indo-Guyanese, why are you voting for PPP? Some of them can't tell you because you know why? Because they grew up hearing people from within their generation vote for PPP, vote for ACNU because they look like you, and we got the same color, we got the same texture here. And then also, with that being said, that is how politics, that is how, the politicians are using politics to divide us. Because we grew up hearing, okay, as a black person, you got to vote for ACNU. As an Hindu Guyanese, you got to vote for PPP. But then ask them, what are you actually, sit them down to sit down.
Yeah, so my sister, you make a great point. You make a great point.
What do you know? And then guess what? They're just putting good people against each other for no reason, because sometimes get what? We don't even know what we're fighting for. Ask how many of them. Do we even know what we're fighting for?
Well, you see, that's why, at least for me, I tried to take it away from the politics, and I tried to look more at result-driven goals, right? So I'm looking at what additional benefits are going to come to the people of Guyana from any particular group being there, or what's going to slow down our growth. I know as a normal citizen in Guyana, the trajectory of the country right now, there's a lot of positives happening, but of course there's still a great opportunity for serious negativity to happen as well. So this is why it's very, very important that we select the right type of representatives, right? So that those representatives can go out there and give adequate responses. But what I have noticed in the political parties is that the representatives that a lot of these parties put up may not necessarily have the capacity to represent their constituents in that area. And then the constituents will still vote for those people as their representative and wonder why they haven't had any results behind it. My advice is, don't look at the party when you need to be scanning the representative. Whoever that representative is needs to be focused on.
I can listen after this.
Right?
Here they say though, right here was saying, no, the representatives, right? Where we can go up on the level now. But look at Region 10. Region 10 is without nothing kind of regionally balance after the election. Ain't got nobody there. We get the seat then as the regional leader or the regional councillor and them thing. All know, right? No, election done September the 4th. Bam, 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 bam. We gone into the new year. That's why you listen to me, you know. Meeting is a dread, you know. Meeting ain't got no sugar cake on it and no ice cream on it. Meeting serious. You sight me? But look, they say now. Now we got Region 10 in that kind of situation that you don't even want to put a foot in on it.
Okay. So let me wait, stop. Let me address something. Let me wait. Oh, I thought you were finished. I thought you were just saying that, you didn't have anybody in there from September 1st to now.
You ain't even making the foothold for implement the orders in Region 10.
Okay.
And this is what? January when?
Okay.
This is January the 8th.
Okay.
I know it can't even be improvised.
All right. So let me respond to that really fast. Right? The first thing that I could tell you is, in my opinion, it is unfair if there is no representative for Region 10. I am not fully aware of that, but I believe the people who are directly affected from that also need to voice their opinions about it if there was a selected representative and that person was not installed as a representative or whatnot, right? So there's a process for that. Now, in terms of from September 1st when the election done to now, unfortunately, and I say this, unfortunately.
You even get opposition.
Okay, now this is what I was going to get to. Unfortunately, the Constitution as it is currently written does not stipulate in detail a set timeline. Unfortunately, what it says is within a reasonable timeline. Now, that there can be left open to interpretation, and that's bad, right? One of the first things that needs to happen, and I would definitely say that this needs to be addressed when the opposition leader does get sworn in and things are there, is a bill that should be, or an amendment, or a recommendation for an amendment to that clause in the Constitution so that by next election, it can have a stipulated time frame. And I'm very sad that for all the years that the opposition was in opposition, nobody ever looked at that and addressed that. And do you know why they never did? Because as soon as somebody get in power, they would have been able to use that same loophole to get away with a whole bunch of nonsense. This is why it's so important to have dynamic, educated, and well-prepared representatives for whatever party you're in. Doesn't matter if you're in... You understand what I mean?
Right? When whoever gets swearing, used to elect all the officials regionally.
But listen, we understand that. But what I'm talking about right now, right? What you're talking about there, I understand. That's winner take all politics type style that you're talking about there. That's basically what you're saying. But as it pertains to your personal representatives, like on a community level, do you know who your personal representatives is on the local government level? Who are they for those communities in that region? Because it does start from there. And then it goes upwards. Because a building starts from a foundation and go up. So your representatives on the community level are the first line of defense against that. And unfortunately, most councillors that are selected may not always be prepared to handle the job. Most parties select people out of necessity and not out of ability. And as long as that keeps happening, no matter who goes there, I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot of complications. Because if you need somebody to do a particular job or a technical job, you're not just going to hire anybody who walk in the door. You have to hire somebody who is capable of handling that duty. Right?
It's not going to snow. Look, here is the whole timeline. Now, PPP win, right, as a claim, installation, 02. They want to drag it out at 5 years, 6 months. So when the next election...
I understand what you're saying there. But once again, my brother, who is your main representative that you have elected within your rights to speak out on those matters? And have they spoken out on it? Have they written or proposed any new legislation? Do they have a plan to change it? You understand what I'm saying? It has to be more than just talk. Talk is what we, the citizens, do. People like me, we talk. We give commentary, right? But those political representatives have to be capable of designing legislation. That is part of politics. I see so many people speaking politics, but none of them seem to have the necessary capacity to write legislation. And if only one side of the government has that ability and the next side doesn't, then no matter how many people you throw up on the next side, you can never beat that, because one is in full compliance and understanding of all of the methods and tactics that are necessary to carry out their function, and the next one get to the battlefield and still don't know how to play the game. There's a serious problem.
But no. Hold on, Russ. No, listen. In each constituent, they all have representatives for different parties and for different areas. But we all know how the system is set up in Guyana. Most instances, those people are stifled. They can't even speak. They can't even if they do, a lot of them have a lot of backlash when it comes to you know.
Yeah, listen. I face it. Listen, I face it too. In fact, I get it worse because I don't really pick a side. So I get hit. I get hit from the left. I get hit from the right, and I'm just like, listen, I'm just a citizen.
Correct, left, right, and center. But we all must not stifle our conscience or not move away from reality when it comes to certain things, right?
But the reality is, if you talk the wrong thing at the wrong time, you get victimized. That is the reality. That is a reality.
No, but it's not only the wrong thing. No, but this is not only the wrong thing. Sometimes speaking in most instances.
No, you can say the right thing. You can say the right thing at the wrong time. Don't play games.
Correct.
Don't play games.
I understand that, right? But what I'm saying is that when it comes to this entire situation, I just feel like there is a section of Guyanese, whether you're Indo, whether you're Afro, whether you're Amerindian, whatever race you are, I just feel like people are tired. And
we
I
are.
just feel like people.
We are.
And I just feel like the reason why the people voted for the win party is because people decided to say, you know what, we are tired of all the
everybody listen. Everybody wants to see something different. Who want to eat chicken curry every day? Listen to me carefully. Right? You can get tired of eating chicken curry, but it's better to eat chicken curry than to suck salt.
Correct, I understand what you're saying here too, but then my point, what I'm trying to bring across is, right, what we are seeing happening presently when it comes to the opposite, when it comes to the new party that contest in the election. One is for the first time in decades is somebody who is willing to go the extra mile. It doesn't matter what it takes. It doesn't matter what resources they take away from him. He finds another way.
Okay, so I'll tell you something, and I want to be very clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until. And I believe that this is very, very important, right? And I'm just going to give you a little history behind it. Because until you see what the full result is of that indictment, we should hold before we really accredit a reasoning to a person's actions. And the reason why I say this is prior to those international accusations, we did not see that person out and about. Also, wait. Let me just say something. Behind the scenes, that person would have had knowledge of a coming implication well before that person stepped out into the public domain. So, you can't tell me all the years you're doing good. Suddenly you hear what coming, and then you switch up, and I believe that your motive or your agenda is truly genuine. Now, can it benefit the people of Guyana? Yes, it could. Yes, it could. But Rasta, you understand what I'm telling you, right, buddy?
Rasta, before I forget this, what I want you to understand, right? Let me call a spade a spade. The Mohammed was always there under the shadow, beneath the shadow of the PDP. They were not always in the limelight. Facts is fact. Because if you look at some of the news from way back, you would have seen that they were involved a lot of time with the government, including with projects and different things. Now, if you say that couple years prior to now, he was not this outgoing person, right? We can say that whatever they use this to do, whatever charity work, it was not being brought to light as always is now, right?
But remember too, prior to that, Mr. Muhammad, at least Asadin Muhammad, never gave an indication that he was going to be coming into politics. And everybody knows. Listen, he wasn't asked to come into politics. I sat personally with Mr. Muhammad in front of his father, I sat right in their office at Muhammad's Enterprise, right there on Lombard Street, and this was a day that I went in there because I was doing a charity thing in Essequibo, and Mr. Muhammad had made a contribution of 100,000 Guyana dollars toward the outreach program that we were doing in Essequibo, right? Because I believe he originally got ties from Essequibo. So we went to him and said, you know what, if we're doing something up there, do you want to help? And he did help. So I want to give credit where it's due, right? He did help. Also, though, it doesn't look good, you know, for people when they're helping. So there's all of these things, right? But being part of a humanitarian organization, we do that. We solicit to see who wants to help, so on and so forth. But I do remember sitting there that day and speaking with both junior and senior, and both of them had acknowledged to me that they had no intention whatsoever of getting involved in politics and so on and so forth. And even that day, and even that day, right, if Mr. Muhammad or the senior is honest, they would both come and tell you, I said, that's a good thing, because if you did, people might start attacking you. Right? And I spoke to them that day about that. And I was surprised later on when I saw him jump into politics, and I'm like, holy shit, if I know this man was getting into politics, you know, I wouldn't have accepted that money for the handout, because I didn't want my organization to look like it was somehow being politically affiliated. Right?
No, but that has nothing to do with it.
But even though it has nothing to do with it, public perception is a funny thing. It's a funny thing. You may be innocent, but somebody might think you're involved in something too, and you get called in, you know, guilty by association. You gotta watch that.
No, put it this way, right? Put it this way. If as how they're trying to paint this picture that the Mohammeds do so much of all these different things and they're involved in so much, just as though we would have helped so many charity organizations, including when let's just say it is alleged that he would have helped government ministers, that he would have helped the president, that when they were going through the struggle time through when it comes to politics and parliament and all of these different things, that he was there. If he is so corrupt, why is he only corrupt now? What happened then?
Okay.
Why is he only corrupt now?
Okay. So okay, wait. So let me state something. Let me state something. Mr. Muhammad is a businessman, and I stated it before on my channel, and I know, you know, once again, I get a lot of backlash for certain things that I say, but I can only say how I feel, right? And in my feeling, I don't think there's such a thing as an honest businessman in Guyana, at least not an honest, successful businessman or one who's doing very, very well off. Because the amount of things that I know I personally encountered in business in Guyana, if I wanted my business to skyrocket, I would have had my hands in so many things. Right? But I struggled because I choose not to, because you don't know where the backlash could come. I ain't gonna say I wasn't tempted. I'm human, right? You get tempted, right? But I look further down the line and I see all the backlash. And I said, buddy, you know better, do better, right? And I stay away from it. But the reality is them businessmen, them know, yeah, the PPP was out the office or up and down, but they don't mind bailing minister them out when you could. Shit, they owe you a favor. That favor could be worth billions of dollars later. That is a business investment. That is not a humanitarian cause.
Let me say my street part. This is the street part now. Now we got a whole big thick book, right? A whole thick big book, right? On corruption in Guyana. Now, Mohammed name happened to be in one chapter of the book. So 1 million other chapters them.
Well, here's well, believe it or not, Rasta, believe it or not, that is an excellent point, and that is exactly why the U.S. government. That is exactly why the U.S. government shall collect the page from the book. And from the writing, they will match it with every other chapter in the book. Everything has to play out. Everything has to play out.
Right?
In the book.
Listen.
No, one thing, right?
But here's the thing. The only people who know who names there in the book are the people in the book. So if Muhammad named there in the book, I'm not the librarian. The international librarians are flying in to collect their books. And it's best since all them big by them know how to play their books. We the smart people set out because the amount of licks they gonna share here. We smart people don't even get involved in this gun. And trust me when I tell you.
Right. And then one thing what I would like to say is that no matter how you twist it, no matter how you turn it, the Mohammeds would have acquired what they would have acquired over the years. They did not wake up one day and
exactly.
become millionaires.
Exactly.
No matter how good, right? No matter how good, listen. No matter how much we would have said, oh, the corruption, they did this, they did that. They did not acquire those wealth within 5 years.
No. You talking about 20, 30 years, 40 years of hard work, man.
Exactly, 40, 50 years down the line. And that's the difference as the government is trying to say that he's so corrupt. That's the difference with the Mohammeds. That's the difference with the Mohammeds, right? That's the difference with the Mohammeds.
Okay.
Right?
So now let's talk about my sister. Let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about that for a minute. Okay, Rastaman, I just want to make a point. Look, I got the friend, right? He has an apple orchard, right? He's got maybe about 30, 40,000 apple trees. Took him about 50 years to plant all of these trees. The trees are bearing, right? But in between his apple trees, right, he put a strange variety of apple. And that variety happened to be spoiled. And he walked away thinking that, it's just one thing spoiled. But he forgets something. That one bad apple could spoil a bunch. And no matter how many good trees he got there, once a wicked or nasty or infectious tree ends up in there, how can you tell now which was the good tree and which was the bad tree when So my best advice to everybody is, if you're doing good and you're doing the right thing, eat little, live long, build, and be grateful and content to God. And you will move forward. But if you get it and you want more so bad that you're willing to take on the risk, that was the risk. And with every risk comes a potential reward or a potential disaster. And that is choice. That is free will. God gave us free will. And, that is the problem there. So my whole thing is, there are outside countries watching this country very, very strongly right now. Do not be fooled that they should because they're heavily invested. We're a strategic spot in the region. Our neighbors got their own issues there. We need to be grateful to America because trust me when I tell you, to some point, the man would want to run in for we, right, and screw we up. They done trying to claim 2/3 of the country.
I am not a great. When it comes to that whole situation there, and I must say this is that number one, when it comes to international law and what the President of the United States would have demonstrated is that anybody, I don't know, it is alleged that that president for that country is corrupt, right? We don't know the specifics of it. They could only tell us what they want to tell us, show us what they want to show us. But then clearly, from what we would have seen in the news, in the media, and spoken from the RS's mouth, we would have already get the clearer picture of what they're truly after.
My sister. No, wait. Let me just tell you something. Remember, we need to pick our battles carefully.
Yes, correct. And I'm picking it. And I know exactly what I'm saying. And my thing is what I'm saying, right? Is that it just only goes to show is that at any given point in time, if you does not agree or you feel like okay, this is not happening the way that it should happen, I could just go in there and take you and do what I want afterwards with it, and that's what we are seeing.
All right, so let me also explain. Wait, let me.
What happened there, right? Here they say snow.
Go ahead, Rastaman. Speak your part.
What there happened there the other day, right? It's just ancient warfare recreated and the
Exactly.
technological add-ons.
But what makes you
So
think?
it's
What makes you
street
think the war has ever changed? War is brutal, bro. It's brutal. No, do we expect? Do we truly expect fairness in war?
Look, listen.
Is war?
When the king went to the United Nations, the Leagues of Nations in 1921, right? And tell the boys them, yo, you invaded my country. Y'all need to step back. And y'all need to protect my country in 1921, right? Them laugh the king. Them laugh the king, right? Anyway, 1941 happened to be Hitler take over. The whole scene, them make the UN conventions and the UN laws and say, well, we gonna come together collectively and deteriorate Hitler.
Okay.
Okay. Street war.
Okay, I realize something. I realize something. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I realize something. And it's something that happens, and it's kind of easy for it to happen here too, right? We don't want to go too much off track of what we're really talking about.
Kind of off track, it's
Yeah.
just reality.
No, it's reality, and we're all emotional about this, and we're intelligent people to a point, so we like to have these discussions. In fact, I love having discussions like this. But what I will tell you is that what is happening there with Venezuela and the U.S., that's a long-running thing from back in the 70s, coming straight up to now. This is not something new. Guyana is a new player in this, but it's not something new. And we also need to be mindful of the situations. We need to be more focused on Guyana. At least me, from a civilian standpoint, I mean, I can give my opinion on certain things, but I need to be more focused on what's going on down here in Guyana and what we can actually control. Now, to my sister here, what if I told you that even if you're not supporting any political party, that you can work together with other citizens and build the type of life that you want? Would you believe me?
Yes.
Because
that is so true.
Because I'm currently doing that now. In my life and what I'm doing, we all work together. We have a good financial plan. We all do our part. And I would also invite you to come and see what it is that we're doing on the ground. I mean, I have to do a lot of hard work because there's no shortcuts, and I don't get no kind of brag money or nothing like that, right? I don't get nothing special. I got to do it out with my own two hands and with the money that we raise. But I would like to invite you and anyone else, right, who wants to see how the program that I've designed is working, and then I can teach you what to do. And the people in your community can actually get together and use the similar strategy and build something good in your community as well. Also, it fits within all of the legal requirements, which makes it really good, right? Because why are we waiting on politicians if they're still fighting? Let them fight. We still got to live. We can do that.
All right.
We don't need to wait on nobody else to do that. We can do that. We can do that now. It's happening now. You understand? And this is what I keep telling people. If you are not finding the leadership you're looking for outside of yourself, it's time for you to become the leader of your own life. Very, very important. Very, very important. Right. Instead of us looking at everybody else, Rastaman too, I tell you straight, that's one thing you'll notice about me. Despite whatever going on there, I ain't got too much time beyond a certain point with them. Because I still got work to do. And you understand? And anybody who ready for put in the work, man, I can show you what to do. It's up to you to do it. But you understand? And I believe that approach is a great approach, because no matter where you're at or whoever's in charge, you still get to pay Caesar his dues to keep Caesar off your back. You honor God by living an honest and clean life. You get to help each other. The only thing is, if there's destructive people around you, you have to be conscientious enough and knowledgeable enough to say, hey, you know what? That's not good for us, and distance yourself wherever you could. Because you need to do that for your peace. Because there's no sense in having the world, but you can't sleep good because everything is corrupted or chaos. You understand? So we need that. And what I'm looking for, right, is to ensure that persons go ahead and learn how to self-monitor, self-manage, and build themselves within their own community. All it takes is real cooperation, right? Right? So that's it.
That's true. I mean, let me tell you something, right? Put aside the politics and all of these different things. I just think that we, Guyanese people, we are unique in our own way.
Hey, Guyana's got some brilliant people. So when I see some of the bullshit out there, it leaves me wondering.
Because when you would have traveled all across, when you say you traveled and you get to leave Guyana, and then you come to to other countries, and then you realize whether you're Indo-Guyanese, you're Afro-Guyanese, you realize when you get to these other countries, you are the minority in these countries, right? But then when you're in Guyana, you're the minority living amongst other people. But then, Guyana is such we are not a big country, but then you have 6 different races live there. And we know how to live with each other, put aside all this politics nonsense. Because guess what? We're going to buy from each other. We're going to live
We need each other. We need each other.
Correct. If
each
there's
other.
a wedding function, sometimes if there is a wedding function, whether it's Indo, whether it's...
You understand? I come in for dance. I come in for eat. I come in for enjoy.
You're gonna come to eat, right? And you're gonna come.
Unless the neighborhood unsafe, because some place I go, people go wild rob me. I gotta be careful. And that's the problem. And politics don't cause though. That's people way of life. So we need to focus. What we need to do is continue to protect the good, continue to shun the bad, look for things. If it's a good tree, it's going to produce good fruit. We need to take away the politics from humanity, and we need to actually behave like human beings with each other, and see good for good, see bad for bad, and know what we want around us, and know how we want to live. Just let me address something. Somebody made a comment here. What was that? And I just want to, okay. Somebody says, Stone, find someone with knowledge to converse with, my friend. Okay. Thank you for calling me your friend and stuff. Now, I want to tell you something. Sometimes people speak different languages. You may not understand the language, so you may not understand the context. But it doesn't mean that it's not intelligent or knowledgeable. We just all have different ways, and we need to be as open-minded as possible. So anyone I'm speaking with, if I'm still speaking with them, is because I respect their opinion, and I do believe they have something very knowledgeable to say, or maybe something that I may not be aware of, and I can learn from it. And the one thing that I don't want to do is hate on anyone, especially if they may not come out as prim and proper. I'm not perfect, right? I know the devil has a sweet tongue. I got a rude one. It's different. So, I listen to everybody, and unless they're disrespectful, I definitely don't mind giving everyone the ear, because that's how we're going to learn, and that's how we're going to grow. So blessings, my brother. I appreciate the comment, but we're just a bit more open-minded.
Do you know the funny thing with that? And let me tell you something. A lot of people, if you doesn't agree with what, they automatically have a problem with you if they do not agree with what you're saying. And I think that all of us are entitled to our own opinions, whether we are Afro, whether we are Indo, whether we are Amerindian, whatever race we are entitled to our opinions. That's one. And two, it doesn't matter about our political affiliation, who we support.
We're Guyanese. That's the way I see it. I see it as we're all Guyanese.
First thing first, we are Guyanese. It doesn't matter, right? So sometimes with people, you just gotta leave them. You just gotta leave them.
Listen, I'll tell you this. If I didn't care about the people, then listening wouldn't have been a problem. Not listening wouldn't have been a problem. But if you truly care about the people, you have to listen.
Before I go Snow, look, this is my last input on this whole thing, right? Look, expression, all I gotta do is go put the delete button. Hear what they say though. I take this, right? I know they must be saying we vocab different, right? And they can't understand. But they can't overstand, because if you go under, it's graveyard. But here I saying unity, right? Unity is the only solution to come out of the predicament of our country, El Dorado.
Exactly.
And if people can't understand what I just said, but then something deeply fucking wrong with them.
But Rasta, it's okay if people don't understand. God bless people with the Holy Spirit so we can speak every language. That's why I'm here translating between the differences.
Respect our manners,
respect, my brother. Respect. Hey, God bless you, brother. God bless you. Stay strong. Hey, you know what? I like this little thing. I see people creating panel. I guess this is the way you create the panel. So who knows? But this has been an excellent conversation. My sister, thank you so much. I myself
Yeah,
have to
thank
go.
you.
I've got to go. My son is coming home from school. I've got to go and deal with the tutor and stuff now. So, you know, I'm still a dad. I'm working hard. I'm not a perfect person, but I like being a decent human being. So, hey, everybody on TikTok, to all of you, take care. God bless you. If you like what's going on here, click follow. I'm willing to hear your opinions, but right now I got to go be a dad. Everybody, take care. Take care, my brother. Blessings. All right, everybody. Same thing for you guys on Facebook. I got to go. It's afternoon time. I got to go be a dad, right? Because there's no sense in talking about a country and the country's future, and I don't go and protect my future and make sure that my kid is educated and being a decent human being. Everyone, have a blessed day. Take care. God bless you, right? And to anyone that's ever said anything bad about me, yo, I forgive you. And if you ever got anything bad to say, don't go and tell nobody else. Just come and cuss me up, telling me something bad. Just say, listen, I'm venting. And I'll say, I forgive you, and we're going to keep it moving. That's how we do it, right? Love over hate. Y'all take care.